Hello guys. Um, I'm going to show you a bit of the progress we've been making. In these last few days I've barely been able to touch it because it turns out more users have been joining Factico. I already have 8 or 9 and some have asked me questions, so after all I've been a bit dedicated to them. But anyway, I've also made progress on so on this little role-playing program, what I'm going to do is explain all the things, including the new features that have been added recently. First of all, well, I think I already explained it. You've seen this start screen. If we go in here to the adventurers room, you see this. As you can see, it really has a certain kind of atmosphere, you know, and it also definitely has its own unique. It has its little music too. I'm going to turn it off so it doesn't bother us while I talk. From here, you can actually go straight to the master, or you can go over to the television, which is basically what would be seen on the TV screen. And right here you have what I was mainly focusing on, which is specifically for playing, right? That means choosing a player or selecting who is going to play. If there isn't, and in this particular case there isn't, it means that the administrator has not created any adventure yet. That is, the administrator has not loaded any adventure into the system. Therefore, there's no adventure to load, but in any case, it lets you create a new player, a new character, a persona. So if we go in here, you find this environment, which I think you'd already seen this screen. It's more or less similar. Just noticed that, well, all the little details, I've actually really tried to make all of this quite immersive, right? Between the twilight atmosphere with its little stars, its little candle here with the flame, I think it gives it quite a look. You have the music. This good. I don't know if you'd seen it or not, but anyway, you can choose between all these classes and create it. Well, before that. So you can see the dynamic a bit. Let's go back a few steps. And we're going to go straight into the control artifact, which is nothing more and nothing less than this. Here you'll see that I also have to change this to make it perhaps more intuitive, although it's already quite intuitive, but just to improve it a bit. From here you can do many things, but I'll explain that to you later. If we go in here, we load a game, for example, the Lost one. We say yes. Notice that there's already a character here from a saved game. His name is Conan. Well, I'm not very imaginative. What can you do? And now from here, if we go to the adventurer's room and follow the same steps, we can see that it has changed now, since the master has actually created and loaded a game. At this point, the members, or rather, the list of players who are involved in that particular game, will now appear here. From this browser, I've been using the character Conan, and that's why it asks me if I want to continue with Conan or choose another adventurer if one is free, that is, if there isn't another user with a laptop who's using it. If I say yes, well, what happens is that actually we go directly to the player, which means we are taken straight to the page of the chosen player, Conan in this particular case. He already appears here. You can see Conan, right? So as you can see, the player page for Conan is now displayed here. His characteristics, you've already seen this, you've already seen it, and you see that there are two more characters, two more players. One is called Adventurer and the other is called Liena. Good. This is a broad overview so you can see how adding a player works. But the idea Let's tell it. So the main idea here is simply to see, or to try to observe, what exactly happens in this particular situation. The things I've done, I've focused more on the editor, the object editor and the adventure editor, so that any other adventure can be loaded, even from a website specialized in scripts for Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. Well, I don't know if you'd seen this dice thing. At any time, the player themselves can roll a die. They can choose from all of these. This one will probably be chosen from what I've seen. And it would show up here. See? But anyway, the dice functions and such also come from here. Whenever you want to buy something or you want to attack. See? If we use the item, in this case it's a potion, well, but I don't want to get bogged down with this. I'll explain. I'm going to focus on something I found more interesting first. If we go to the Creator's Forge, this page appears. I have to make it look nicer, although this is more... It doesn't make sense to make it prettier, but more practical, if you will, because it's a page for the master. That is, this isn't for the players, it's for the master. This page is intended to load games and, well, load adventures, sorry, rather than games. Load different adventures or include or bring in adventures from outside, import them. Alright, let's go ahead and start with the simplest part, which is the catalog. If we go into the catalog here, these are the items that are included as part of the adventures. We have a filter here. If I put, for example, spells here, notice that it shows Fireball, Minor Healing, Electric Shock, Magic Shield, Arcane Projectile. If I select the Magic Shield, the characteristics for this item will appear right here. See? This is the identifier, which is what the program needs in order to know exactly which item it is. You can also see the name, which is written in English, and the spell category it belongs to. This that creates a barrier that means it's used in combat and that the mage or healer can use it naturally. We can also make it purchasable. Arcane barrier that cushions hits received for a few turns. Here you have the defense level, duration and cost. Well, if it has a price here, cost, okay? So, well, this gives you an idea. You can duplicate this in case you want to make new spells and not have to redo everything. You just change the name and change the characteristics. Anyway, it has many things, as you can see. Fireball, Minor Healing, Arcane Projectile. Look, the Arcane Projectile even has an area of effect zone. That's why it says range. It has many things, as you can see. Here, well, you know, if you choose weapons, for example, like swords or guns, light armor, well, it says it gives you 2 defense points, short sword. So I dealt 15 damage. And this happened because a character actually killed me in the game. I got really fed up with that, so I decided to make the sword super powerful. Before, it only did 5 damage. I managed to take him out with just 1 hit. Well, that's it for the items. You can keep adding items as you see here, but let's move on to the adventure section. Now we have this. For example, when you are on this page, if you click import, you will see what happens. You can start entering text here, which is used to generate the adventure. You can load it from a URL. Or you can download something from Dungeons and Dragons, for example, a PDF adventure, and load it. You select the file, and that's it. It loads it. What would the result be? Well, the result would be this. You have adventures on the server. The Lost Crown is the one I use as a catch-all for testing, which is the Lost Crown one you've already seen. Then you have the Storm Lighthouse here. This one is new, and the Midnight Strike. This is all done simply by downloading files. If we load this one, you see now the Grey Rock Coast, the Rocky Coast. Well, anyway, it's definitely worth taking a closer look into this because it's actually really, really powerful. Here, if you want to do it manually, enter your adventure manually. You can also do it here. You start with the locations, create 3 locations for an enchanted forest. Well, it's just an example. or you go to the NPCs. Here you create the NPCs, the bestiary. It also has the bestiary anyway, all of this. The endings, there are always 4 endings available, but anyway, let's keep explaining. Here you have the world definition, the story definition, the locations. In this case, there are only there are 13 locations. On the coast, you have 4, which are the village, the tavern, the chapel, and the pier. All of this can be edited. Of course, you can edit it. Cliff Lighthouse, which is where most of the adventure takes place, the underground. Here you have the NPCs. This is a short adventure. You have 4 NPCs. Bestiaries, there are also beasts. You have crabs, sea shadows, children of the abyss anyway. Here's the story, what it's about. You can always edit this to your liking. What else? You have 4 endings always. From heroic, bittersweet, dark, and tragic. The scene flow is right here. It is just like in theatre. Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3. And within each act, well, there can be several scenes, right? In the last scene of the final act, the program defines how the ending will be among these 4, which would be these. Here, well, the same, you define the acts, right? You can go ahead and edit them, okay? From the objective, the intention of the virtual master, that is, of the artificial intelligence with my instructions, not to reveal what is in the lighthouse yet, anyway, this is very clear. NPC locations, where the NPCs are the characters, not the characters, but yes, the NPCs, those who take part in the game, right? For example, Greta, who is an unpleasant tavern keeper. Well, you can find her in the tavern. In this tavern here, at the wall, is where you can find them. The visible information. Anyway, this is very long. There are so many things here to learn. And these are the events. In any case, you have a help guide here, which you can switch to English, of course, which explains a bit how everything works and the things it can do. You can play in different ways, right? A single player, several players. Making it so that the AI acts as a co-pilot for the human to help, so the human does not have to keep deducing, removing, or increasing health levels. The AI would do it for them. You have a permanent human supervisor mode to make it as close as possible to doing it on paper. You have many things. Well, you will see. It is just that there are so many things to see here. Well, I guess I really only have left to send you one, with what I mentioned before, one with the same thing I said earlier, just to be clear. An adventure. A complete adventure, okay? If you enter here, you go to Adventurers, as I already explained. Here, from here, you can start playing either as Conan or as any of these 2. For now, that is all. Well, I do not know if you have seen. This would be what you would see on the TV. This would be what you would see on the TV. My plan is to split this, which is a large image. Well, split it in 2, set it at 60% of this entire space for the maps, where the characters will be moving across the map. And 40%, the remaining bottom part for this text, which here should always have just 3 or 4 lines. This isn't it's not like in the single player one where you can ramble on and so forth, right? Right, so what else is there? What else? Well, let me think for a moment. From here, the master can manage absolutely everything. He can even introduce events that, if he wants them written directly, without any flourishes, without poems, without any poetry from the AI, well, he just does this. And whatever the master writes here will go directly. It will go directly to the player, and to the television. Okay? Otherwise, well, if we turn it off, then what the AI does is add poetry to whatever is written, to whatever the master writes. Anyway, I don't want to... You can see it's looking quite good. I don't want to complicate things much more because I'm giving you a lot of information at once. Amalia already tells me I'm a terrible teacher, so because many ideas come to my head at once, and yes, I can ramble on a lot. Well, I really hope that. Well, honestly, you like how the game is evolving and developing? Well, a hug and a little kiss.